Hello everyone, welcome to sqadia.com. Today we are discussing mechanisms of cell signaling and we are at section 2. And in this particular section we are going to have an in-depth discussion of the G protein-coupled receptors. Let's get started. We are going to start off by the discussion of the structural basis of the cell surface receptors, and we are then going to move into the discussion specifically for this particular type of receptor. We are talking about G protein-coupled receptors, and then we are going to have a look on the ligands that are being used for the GPCR simulation. So let's get started. Before moving on, it's an established fact that the cell responds to signaling even if that particular signaling molecule is same in a different way. We have over here an example of acetylcholine that is basically a neurotransmitter. Now it has different effects on both the skeletal muscle cell, heart muscle cells, and the secretory cell, of course. As shown over here, the skeletal muscle takes an important function whether it does so by the contraction of the skeletal muscle. So the acetylcholine will function by in response to the establishment of the contraction of the heart muscles, in establishment of the skeletal muscles. But in case of the heart muscle, the outcome is opposite. It causes the contraction in the skeletal muscles, but it causes relaxation in the heart muscle cells. And when we are talking about the secretory cell, when it is going to bind with the receptor that is present on the secretory cell, it is going to cause the secretion. So same neurotransmitter acetylcholine is going to have different effects. Each cell, of course, is programmed to respond to a specific combinations of the signal molecule. In this particular figure, you can see the same signaling molecule can induce different responses in the different target cells, as we have seen the example of the acetylcholine. And cell responds to the extracellular signaling that we discussed in the previous section and established in the previous section as well. So we have a particular receptor and the cell responds to the extracellular signaling. We are talking about the response by the receptor that can recognize the signals at first step. The signal transduction pathways are then induced, then activated by those receptors when they are going to bind with the ligand. And of course, the intracellular processes are affected by those pathways, of course. Moving on towards the cell surface receptors, what we have over here, the G protein-coupled receptors. So what happens in this particular case, we have a receptor protein over here which is going to bind with the particular ligand. After it has been binded, what happens in this particular case, the inactive G signaling transduction protein converts into the activated form. It then causes the inactive effector enzyme. We are talking about adenylyl cyclase. We are talking about phospholipase. We are talking about, there are many other effector enzymes that are activated when the G protein coupled receptors are activated by the binding of the ligand. When we are talking about the active effector enzymes, they basically generate second messengers. These second messengers are termed as the second messengers because the primary messenger, which was ligand, resulted in the activation of the receptor, which then caused the activation of the second messengers. And we are talking about cyclic AMP, we are talking about inositol 1,4,5 triphosphate, we are talking about diacylglycerol. These all are being activated and they play a particular functions. Take an example of in the insulin pathway, they are going to cause the release of the secretory vesicles of the insulin when the glucose is being binded to this particular receptor. At the second step, we have ion channel receptors. We have to discuss the case of the acetylcholine. What happens in this particular case, the ligand is going to bind, as shown over here, the ligand is going to bind with the ligand binding site of a particular receptor. What happens in this particular case is the result in the opening of the ion channels. So that, take an example of the potassium molecules. They can diffuse into the cell through this particular ion channels. We have tyrosine kinase linked receptors. What happens in this particular case? There are two monomers of the receptor tyrosine kinase. What happens in this particular case, when the ligand is going to come to these particular receptors, they are going to form the dimers, and these dimers are then activated. These activated dimers then cause the phosphorylation of the substrate protein, and the substrate protein plays an important function as a second messenger by the activation of several pathways that we are going to discuss in other lecture. We have receptors with intrinsic enzyme activity. What I mean by saying this is that ligand has binded to this particular receptor. Now this particular receptor has an intrinsic enzyme activity. It means that after being activated from the ligand, this particular receptor is going to behave as an enzyme. So we have over here this particular molecule, guanylate cyclase. What happens in this particular case? It causes the activation by the hydrolysis of the ATP, where the GTP is being converted into the GTP, and resulting molecule, the atrial neuratic factor, is being activated. We have ligand in this particular case. What happens in this particular case? Ligand binded to the receptor over here, as seen over here. So the tyrosine kinase activity, as shown, we are talking about the nerve growth factors, the platelet derived growth factors. These all are being activated in this particular cases, where the ATP is converted into the ADP. The second messengers or the enzymes, they are being activated, and they cause the phosphorylation of secondary tertiary messengers, which then bind with the transcription factors, move into the nucleus, causes the activation or the upregulation of the genes that are responsible for the production of all of these. Moving on towards the discussion of the G protein-coupled receptors. So as discussed, what happens in this particular case, we have over here, as seen, we have G protein-coupled receptor, and it has three domains: alpha, beta, and gamma. The alpha domain has linked GDP. So what happens when a ligand is going to bind with this particular receptor, it is going to cause the activation of these particular alpha, beta, gamma subunits, and as a result of binding of the ligand with the G protein-coupled receptor, as you can see over in this particular diagram as well, it will cause the activation or the phosphorylation of the GDP, and GDP is being converted into the GTP. So when this particular alpha subunit is being binded, is being replaced from GDP to GTP, now this alpha subunit is going to get detached from the beta gamma subunit. Now this alpha GTP subunit of the G protein-coupled receptor is going to cause the phosphorylation of the subsequent molecules. Either they can be proteins, or they can be enzymes, they can be tyrosine kinases, they can be kinases or phosphatases, depending upon the conditions, depending upon the signals. And when the process is being done, the function of the alpha GTP is being done, when they have, of course, phosphorylated the secondary messengers, the molecules that they are going to be phosphorylate. So what happens is the alpha subunit is again binded with the GDP. Now this binded GDP then moves back towards the beta gamma subunit, and this particular process repeats again and again when a particular ligand binds, resulting in the activation of the subsequent down signaling pathways. Take an example of the extracellular space in this particular case, where we are talking about the transmission of the nerve impulses. It has G protein gated channel. What happens? The signal molecule, take an example of the acetylcholine that we discussed in the previous section, binds with the receptor, causes the activation of the alpha subunit. The alpha subunit is going to bind with the membrane bound effector protein. This protein is going to have effects on the opening of the ion channels, and the molecules, the ions, they are going to diffuse into the intracellular space, resulting in the hyperpolarization, of course. So when we are talking about the ligands that use the GPCR for the stimulation, we have adenylate cyclase, we have exin molecules, cyclic AMP, and protein kinase A that causes the upregulation when these ligands are being activated. When we are talking about the alpha-1 subunit, we have as same phosphodiesterases, phospholipases, and the alpha-1 GTP that causes the downregulation of the cyclic AMP production. Same goes for the Rho protein and the phosphokinase C. All of these combined, they are going to cause the proliferation, cell survival, differentiation, migration, extracellular matrix degradation, angiogenesis. They can also lead to the metastasis of the cancer. All of these is done through the gene expression, but through the transcriptional factor activation, resulting in the activation or the suppression of a particular genes that are being required for a particular processes. So in this particular section, we discussed the cell surface receptors, and then we discussed the G protein-coupled receptors in specific, and we discussed the mechanisms through which the G protein-coupled receptors act. This was followed by the discussion of the ligands that basically use GPCR, G protein-coupled receptors, for the stimulation of the pathway. So that was all for this particular section. Keep watching sqadia.com. Thank you.